Hello everyone and welcome to A Slice of My Life. Today we are going to review the Halo Ring Spinner by Fidget HQ. First of all, big shout out to Raja for sending this over to me because to my surprise he decided to send one over to me and I've been enjoying it. Now you guys probably already seen that I've had this with me for quite some time, but the reason why I took so long to do this review is because, well, I mentioned in another video of mine that I kind of messed up and I cracked the trit during the tritium installation. Now, I didn't crack it during the installation. I actually already installed all the trits in and then I realized that there was one trit that wasn't sitting in the same orientation as the other trits. So I tried to heat that slot up a little bit and I wanted to pry that tritium vial out and redo everything, but by prying I actually cracked the whole tritium vial instead. So yeah, it was a huge mistake. Anyway, for those of you who are dealing with Nolan 61 glue, the NOA 61 UV glue, if you want to remove trits and you have that glue in place, all you gotta do is just get a hairdryer or apply some heat some way, and then that glue will turn to some kind of a rubbery mush and then you can just scrape it out. So okay, enough about the trits. Basically, this is my Halo Ring Spinner and this is the way it looks like right now. The main difference between mine and most other people's is that, as you can see, it's very lightly stone washed all the way around, and I've also flamed the inner rings. I've given it a blurple kind of color, and yeah, it's a little bit brownish here because of the heat dissipation, but I kind of like this. It's not really a stove splatter like the way Michael de Mesa does his stuff, but I always try to get a more even kind of finish or a more gradient, gradual kind of, coloring. And this is my result and I like it a lot. So let's talk about the Halo Ring Spinner. This, guys, in a nutshell, I will say that it is one of the most, if not the most comfortable ring spinner I've ever tried before. Now this one comes with a bearing that has an 18mm inner diameter. So that actually means that it sits up here, but not on my right hand, which is kind of strange. It's on my left hand. So it sits up here on my left hand because, both our hands are not exactly the same. So for some reason, my left hand has been working a lot more. I mean, I'm left-handed, okay? Don't get the wrong idea, guys. I'm left-handed. So generally, my left hand is a little bit, I would say that my left hand is a little bit more toned than my right hand. I'm just gonna try and put it in a very nice way. So it sits all the way up here for my left hand. And this, guys, is really, really comfortable. And I will explain it to you guys later. But you can see that it's a little bit tight, as you saw me trying to yank it out. And I could slip it all the way up here on my right hand, but then I would end up with a troublesome time trying to remove it. So it's just gonna sit here right now. And the next thing I want to mention about the Halo Ring Spinner is that there is a different bearing kit available at the Fidget HQ website, which is a 17mm bearing. I believe that is a 6703 bearing, and that comes with the respective ring size as well, so you can just perform an installation that is simple, quick and easy. Now since we're talking about the rings, let's talk about what the original packaging for the Halo Ring Spinner was. It comes in this little tin can case, of course, with a nice foam cutout, and also I believe it comes with an extra set of screws, and these are flat head screws, as you can see, installed here, here and here, 3 points on each side, so that makes 6 screws on the spinner body, as well as a little screwdriver, which is pretty cool. Very nice addition to this. And it comes with a button that fits on the bearing, but I'll be talking about this later on in the video. So that's what makes the original packaging, but you could also buy extra brass rings online. Now let's just do a quick swap, just so I can show you guys, okay? So I'm gonna get one ring. This is a brass ring, and yeah, I mean the brass one looks beautiful, but you guys know I don't really have any luck with brass, but I want to show it to you guys on camera because it's really, really simple. So all you gotta do is just get the screwdriver and then you want to remove these 3 screws. And when you are done with removing the screws, this ring is just gonna pop out just like that. See? Really simple. No, this is not brass, guys. This is just flamed steel. So now at this point in time, you can simply just remove the bearing. It just slides right out. It's a pretty snug fit, not too tight. You don't really have to apply too much pressure, but basically that's where the bearing is. Just pop it out. Personal tip for you guys, if you want to change the bearings or you want to just clean the bearings and you take it out and you want to put it back, I suggest for you to install one side of the ring first because that acts as a stopper because it creates a lip. If not, the bearing will just slip all the way through. So push the bearing in after installing one side, then grab your other ring and make sure that these notches line up with the screw slots over there. Like that, and then just simply install the screws back into place. And when you're done, it looks like this. So I got one side with the blue one that I actually flamed. Originally it was stainless steel, so you guys have to imagine that it's the same shade, the same color, and then this is the one with the brass ring. And I know a lot of you are gonna like this one. I mean, visually it looks beautiful. Like I'm getting goosebumps because it really looks beautiful. It's just that I'm not able to have this on because it's going to be touching my skin all the time. So, it's going to get a bad reaction here on my finger and I don't want that. Yeah, but guys, I also failed to mention earlier on that the original finish of the Halo Ring Spinner is a brushed finish. You probably can see some of the brushing. I don't know if it's still visible, but it's a very light, fine brush finish and it's very smooth, very much like the Quasar spinner. And I just basically gave it a light stone wash. Yeah. So guys, aesthetics wise, you get two options to choose from, and that is not whether or not you want the rings to come in stainless steel or brass. The brass rings are an extra option that you have to purchase, but what I mean by two options you get to choose is whether or not you want to have slots like these cutouts here, or if you want a solid body. But the solid body version has these inner slots for the screw ports, so that one will still be there. That design nuance is going to be there still, but it's just that there won't be any trit slots on the sides up here and on the top. So it's your choice because those are the same price. So these are going for under $50, but if I'm not wrong, there is a copper version, a black version, as well as a raw stainless steel version. And I think that you get varying options for the raw and black versions of these, whether or not you want them with the trit slots or you want the solid body version. So guys, on to the fidgetability of the Halo Ring Spinner. Okay, this is to me possibly the most comfortable ring spinner I've tried so far. Also because I'm able to have it sit up here. It's not too wide, so it doesn't really impede on my hand. Well, hand movement, hand functionality. Yeah, it doesn't really impede on it much. And at the same time, I was thinking that it might start to bite me over time the way the LoopHole does. I mean, you guys know my favorite ring spinner is the LoopHole, but over extended periods of time, it will start to bite. Whether or not it bites my thumb here or bites my middle finger here as I fidget with it, but this guy over here does not. And I attribute that to the gentle slopes. So you can see the angled edge out here, and it's rounded very nicely all the way around, and this cutout here is also very gentle, guys. So really there's no hot spots on this, no sharp edges, and also even though the LoopHole did not have any hot spots or sharp edges, it just started to bite me over time, but this does not. It's super comfortable, guys, really. And there's a comfortable position for this, which is like that with one notch up here, because once the notch is up here, it means that there's another notch for your middle finger to sit right there, and then you can just have your thumb out here, and this feels kind of comfortable like that. Yeah, so you could easily clench your fist, and I guess it would act like some kind of a knuck, but I mean, come on guys, I recommend against violence, okay? But yeah, but this looks a little bit strange if you look at it like that, but this is where the comfort lies in. Really comfortable, guys. It's like a perfect fit for your fingers. So even if you pinch it up here, this is a great starting spot because you're able to hold it in place and provide enough pressure to pull it back with your middle finger, and I'm able to just grip it like that with my thumb and then give it a good strong flick. That feels really satisfying. It's kind of like the same satisfaction as performing a preloaded flick, in my opinion, for a ring spinner. And you could do the same for the middle finger as well. Just pinch it up here like that and then pull it down with your middle finger just like that. So it's really comfortable, really fidgetable. And even if your thumb lands out here on the outside edge, there's more than enough real estate to perform a flick very comfortably as well, even without the assistance of your middle finger. Look. It's actually pretty damn fun, guys. Now I'm going to take it off now, and you'll notice that I'm going to struggle again to get it off my finger. There we go. Now I'm just going to put it right here at this middle joint, and I will say that the 18mm bearing does feel a little bit loose compared to, say, for example, a 6703 bearing, which is a 17mm inner diameter bearing. And being fair, the 6703 bearing is snug enough that it doesn't even go past my middle joint here. But for this one, sometimes it might slip all the way up. And that also means compared to other ring spinners that use a 6703 bearing, this is looser. See, the moment I just do this, it comes right out. Right there. But I'm going to be fair to you guys and talk to you about the fidgetability of this spinner on the middle joint as well. And this poses no problems whatsoever. It is still very comfortable, albeit a little bit looser compared to other 6703 bearings, and that's the only main gripe I will say. But that is not a fault of the machining, that is not a fault of the design, it is just the bearing. And I believe that is why Fidget HQ sells the 6703 bearing kit for this spinner as well. However, I do wish that they offered it as a option to choose whether you want the 17mm version or the 18mm version. You know what I mean? Because some other spinners out there in the market actually provide you more than one bearing, but this is actually under $50 and it's a pretty solid spinner. It's just that, you know, it's just an option that I think maybe Raja could look into in the future. I don't know, but yeah, it's just another option for you guys, you know. Just take note of that. This actually sits here pretty well. Just, it's a little bit loose. That's all. I'm not even able to get it really snug because once I get past the middle joint, it's going to be stuck on the upper part of my finger as well. For those of you who are more technical with the terms, what is this part and this part of your finger called? And what is this joint called? I don't remember the term. I know there is a term for this, but I don't remember it. Yep, so now that we've covered the fidgetability of the Halo Ring Spinner up here and on the middle joint, let us bring the button back into play. So this is a screw-on button, as you guys can see, and it's very nicely threaded. You guys can see the threading is really tight. So once it's on, it's not going to be easy to remove. It won't slip out that easy. But it's a proprietary kind of slug. I can't really call it a slug, it's a button that works only on this 18mm inner diameter bearing. It doesn't fit on 6703 bearings because it'll be too wide. Yep. So it's very simple, just pop it on like that. And you guys can see that it is a perfect fit. And then you screw this on, and this is where... Okay, see, I'm getting goosebumps again, guys. This is where this ring spinner really shines. The fact that you get to turn it into a hand spinner, this is awesome, guys. It's really comfortable as a hand spinner as well. Look at that. Okay, now with this bearing, I'm not able to get really good spin times. I'm getting about maybe 2 minutes on average with a two-handed table spin like that. Not as a ring spinner, guys, but yeah, I think 2 minutes is pretty okay for the fact that this is actually meant to be a ring spinner, but the fact that you actually get to convert it into a hand spinner, and it does that already natively with the package, I think that's pretty cool. So I guess for under $50, this is what you're gonna get. This package with removable rings, an easy to remove bearing system. You get a unique bearing offering that is different from other ring spinners in the market, which is an 18mm inner diameter bearing, and you get the buttons as well. And then you get the option to also install trits, and I'm going to talk about that in a little while. Just let me finish talking about this as a hand spinner. As a hand spinner, guys, this is... all I gotta say is this is comfortable. It's comfortable. It's surprisingly comfortable. The fact that it's comfortable as a ring spinner and as a hand spinner, this is, to me, it's a winner. It's very well balanced. I mean, if you look at it like that, probably would be pretty balanced anyway because you don't get any large weights being thrown out. But all of the rounding, the nice angles and all that, they really just make this spinner a joy to fidget with. Be it with the thumb and the middle finger grip, and fidgeting with your index finger or with your fourth finger, even in the forward, backward way. See how smooth that was, guys? And then, of course, with my native way of fidgeting with spinners, middle finger, performing preloaded flicks, just like that. No problem. Performing push forwards on the fourth finger. It's just really comfortable, so I really enjoy this a lot. It's a joy. I like it, guys. I really do. So moving on from that to the tritium slots, like I mentioned earlier on, guys, I installed tritium into this, and these are yellow tritium, but the ones that I use are 2mm by 6mm, very much like my Quasar bar, but I did not install these vertical trits inside here, and that's because I initially did not know the depth of this particular cutout slot, but obviously it's much shorter. So on the Quasar, I actually used 2.5mm by 10mm long trits for the outside slots, or what do you want to call it, the vertical slots, the horizontal slot, I don't, just the sideways slot. Those were actually not meant to be for tritium vials, but once I had these yellow trits installed, I realized that you could see a sneak peek of them out here in this cutout, and that's a really nice feature. The fact that you get to see your trits here as well as here, it's a pretty darn cool thing, and I'm gonna try to show it to you guys later on in the video. I just don't know if I can get the right lighting, but if I do, then yay, you know, yayness. So it's just another good feature on this ring spinner that makes it really cool. I just dig it a lot. Alright, here we go. Size comparison of the Halo next to a stubby. Slightly smaller than a stubby. In terms of the design itself, a very stark contrast to the simplistic style of the stubby. This looks futuristic. That's really futuristic. And for good measure, here's the DNA nucleus, and you can see that it is a lot smaller than the DNA nucleus as well. So guys, down to my final verdict. What do I think of the Halo Ring Spinner? I'm not a fan of ring spinners. You guys already know I'm not really a huge fan of ring spinners, especially ring spinners that don't sit up here. But this is a kind of an in-between because it sits up here on my left hand and it sits here on my right hand. But the reason why I like it and I think that this is a good ring spinner is because it lets you convert it into a hand spinner with no problem, just a screw on button and that's it. And I think that there's a reason why most makers can't do push in slugs the way that Steel Flame does it, because I think there is a patent that Steel Flame owns that prevents people from making push in slugs like that. But I think that making a core, kind of the way that premium spinners does for the LoopHole, I think that's possible as well. But the thing about the core with the LoopHole spinners is that sometimes the O-rings get so tight that you might accidentally push the bearing out when you're trying to remove a core, and that's a big no-no. I know it's happened to some people. It's not happened to me before, but I know that it is a possibility. But for this, you know, it's a nice screw-on button, just that the threads are really tight, so it's not so it's gonna take a little bit of time to unscrew it. Let me just show you guys, okay? So here we go. It's not like standard regular buttons. You gotta really see, even this far, it's still totally stuck. So we gotta just do that and remove it. But I mean, it's a simple thing. It's really something that I shouldn't be griping about, but I really enjoy this. I really do. This, in my books, is a winner. It's a pretty solid ring spinner for its price. Under $50, you get a ring spinner like this with a very cool customizing option where you can change out the inner bearing retention rings. And especially those of you who are confident in flaming your stainless steel, I guess, items, you could just flame the original stainless steel ring into a blurple color or maybe even a brown color, or you could just get it into a something like a patinaed brass color without actually buying the brass. But those of you who are brass lovers and you really want the patina thing going on, then get the brass rings, and it's cheap. I think it's like what, $5 or $6. And you also have the option to get one with the tritium slots or without the tritium slots, and if you get the one with the tritium slots because you enjoy the way it looks, then good. But you can also fill it up with tritium vials, or you could fill it up with aluminum wires from Spinnetic, or you could just get glass beads like the way I do, or you could get brass beads if you want. But then, you know, with this slot out here, it lets the trits glow and it's just really cool. In my opinion, this is a pretty good ring spinner. Very comfortable, much more comfortable than I expected. And it's not too wide and in such a way that it is comfortable even if you have it up here on your finger. It's not going to impede on your movements, and I can have it on here on my left hand while I have my LoopHole on my right hand and just fidget the hell away. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't fit like a LoopHole. It's a different bearing system, but still the 18mm bearing is something different in the spinner market right now, and I think that's a good thing. And those of you who, like me, don't like your ring spinners to sit up here, this comes with the extra button that actually turns it into a hand spinner, and that is more than what you'll ever need. Doesn't get fantastic spin times, but it's a pretty darn comfortable spinner with a lot of options for you to choose as well. So yeah, I guess that my only real gripe is that I wish that Fidget HQ would give customers the option to choose between the 17mm bearing or the 18mm bearing upon purchase of this, instead of having the 18mm natively on the ring spinner and then having the 17mm bearing as an add-on option. And there's one more thing that I have to mention to you guys. I failed to mention this and I apologize because I was too caught up in doing this review. I guess I was too excited to share this with you. But I think that one of the screw ports on one side, just one of the screw ports out of the 6, has a slightly stripped threading. And the reason why I found out is because during the installation and removing of the screws, I couldn't really tell because, you know, it's such a small slot. But over use, when I had it up here, I realized that there was one screw that just was missing, and then I replaced it with another screw, and then I realized that it was missing again, and it happened to me a total of 3 times. So basically I lost 3 screws, and then that led me to realizing that maybe, just maybe, that screw port had its threads slightly stripped. So for this particular review, on the side with the stainless steel ring, I already had these 3 screws screwed in with some thread locker, and that's why it wasn't going to come out. So what's going to happen after this is that I will put thread locker on these 3 screws as well, and then screw them in once I swap these back. That's just something that I wanted to update you guys. Yeah, just wanted to let you guys know. But so far, I think that ever since I put Loctite on these 3 screws, there's no problems with any missing screws anymore. So I think I got the right side down. I don't really know. Putting thread locker on screws is always a good thing in my opinion, because, you know, it ensures that your screws don't slip out the way that these actually came out. So I should have done it earlier, but I wanted to share that with you guys as well in case any of you are facing the same problem as me. So once again, everyone, if you're interested in getting one of these Halo Ring Spinners for yourself, make sure you check out the links in the video description below. I don't know if they are in stock. If they are not in stock, I don't think you have to worry, because Fidget HQ usually restocks after a few weeks, so it's not so bad. And that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for sharing in this slice of my life. Once again, a big shout out to Fidget HQ and Raja for sending this over to me. Really comfortable ring spinner, and I really like it. And this brass thing is growing on me, so as a hand spinner I might consider just keeping this brass ring on, because my fingers will never ever touch the brass. It looks really good. Look at that gold and silver motif, and on this side you get a blue. Okay, I'm digressing now, guys. I'll catch y'all in the next slice of my life, and Gaga Boost.